outside. There ain't nothing like what's going on in here. Stand up and sing with us.
My soul sizzles with the joy of the Spirit. My soul sizzles with the joy of the Spirit. My soul sizzles with the joy of the Spirit. It's a fire that will never die out. Burn, burn, burn. Burn, burn, burn. Burn, burn, burn. It's a fire that will never die out. My soul sizzles 'cause there's love in my heart. My soul sizzles 'cause there's love in my heart. My soul sizzles 'cause there's love in my heart. It's a fire that will never die out. Burn, burn, burn. Burn, burn, burn. Burn, burn, burn. It's a fire that will never die out. My soul sizzles with the light that I shine. My soul sizzles with the light that I shine. My soul sizzles with the light that I shine. It's a fire that will never die out. Burn, burn, burn. Burn, burn, burn. Burn, burn, burn. It's a fire that will never die out. Burn, burn, burn. Burn, burn, burn. Burn, burn, burn. It's a fire that will never die out. It's a fire that will never die out. It's a fire that will never die out.
Woo! Good morning. It's just too hot to clap, isn't it? I tell you what, global warming is happening in July. That's when it's happening. It's been hot out there. But we're in here to cool off just a little bit. Cool off while you can, because in a few minutes, you're going to get hot again because Sherrie Phillips is in the house. And you know, when she's in the house, Lord knows what needs to start coming off or being fanned or whatever. It's always awesome. I tell you what, I got a few quick announcements for you. First off, I want to tell you about Pennington Bend. You know, we've been doing a lot of collecting. Our Social Action Committee, where's Linda? There she is. They've been doing awesome stuff. They were filling boxes yesterday, I believe. And so we all want to be a part of that, of being a force for good in the world. And right now, in addition to all the other collections that we're doing, we're currently involved with looking to stock the Pennington Elementary Staff Lounge. You know, we're a pencil partner with Pennington Elementary. So what they need are things like K-Cups for coffee. We know you pick those up anyway. Just pick up another box of them. Non-refrigerated creamer and some individually wrapped snacks and chocolate if you'd like to help staff stock the Staff Lounge. Trust me, teachers know. They need coffee, people. They need lots of coffee, lots of chocolate. That's right. So drop those off in our lobby by August 6th if you feel so inclined to do so. I also want to let you know we've got another outdoor adventure coming up on Saturday, August 19th. This is just a couple days before the big eclipse. The eclipse, right? Got to say it like that, eclipse. And so what we're going to do to cool off in all of this hot weather is we're heading off to Cumberland Caverns to go down in the coolness of Mother Earth and do a little caving. Saturday, August 19th, it'll be an all-day kind of event. Meet here at the church at 8:30. It's $21 for adults, $13 for kids 12 and under. And it's a moderately difficult walking tour of an hour and a half. But see Grace Blue Rock for further details about that. Grace is standing right at the back. Wave your hand, Grace. Yeah, no, your other hand. Wave your other. No, I'm just making that up. All right, so see Grace Blue Rock for details about that, but we'll be talking about that a little more. Hey, let's stand up and sing again. Why don't we? Okay, sure.
When I'm down and feeling blue, Spirit's working it out. When I don't know what to do, Spirit's working it out. Ups and downs, I'll get through. Spirit's working it out. Spirit, Spirit, Spirit's working it out. Spirit, Spirit, Spirit's working it out. Have no fear, have no doubt. Spirit's working it out. When I don't understand, Spirit's working it out. I know there's a master plan. Spirit's working it out. I'll just do the best I can. Spirit's working it out. Spirit, Spirit, Spirit's working it out. Spirit, Spirit, Spirit's working it out. Have no fear, have no doubt. Spirit's working it out. Spirit, Spirit, Spirit's working it out. Spirit, Spirit, Spirit's working it out. Have no fear, have no doubt. Spirit's working it out. Have no fear, have no doubt. Spirit's working it out. Have no fear, have no doubt. Spirit's working it out.
Woo! You know how I know Spirit's working it out? Because that song was planned. Kenny's working it out too. That song was planned before all of the bunches of things that have happened this month to some of us, where we needed that reminder that Spirit's working it out and that good things are happening regardless of what the outside world looks like. And so that's how I know, because we planned to do that song. Thank you, Judy. You just, either that or Judy is psychic. I think that's true too. A little bit of both, a little bit of both. We've got a couple of other things I want to tell you about next Sunday afternoon, Sunday, July 30th. Becky Astorita will be doing Acu-Detox and Yin Yoga in the upstairs Healing Arts Room from 3 to 5. See Becky for more information about that, or pick up one of the bulletins in the back. I also want to let you know about Lunch Bunch, which meets every Wednesday at 11:30. If you've got some time in the middle of the day, come and join that group of people who are changing the world. And then most importantly, this Wednesday night, we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now, but this Wednesday night is the big meditation that we've got planned. We hope everybody comes out for this. This Wednesday, July 26th at 7 p.m., Reverend Denise will be facilitating a meditation called Moving from Mass Consciousness to the Consciousness of Love. And this meditation will be preparing us for the Spiritual Economics class in August and September. I'm sure, hopefully, maybe Reverend D will talk a little bit more about that today. B?
Good morning. Would the other prayer chaplains please stand? The prayer chaplains are here to pray with you. We also have prayer boxes available for you, 2 of them, one here and one in the prayer room. If you would like to submit prayers, they will be saved and sent. I'm going to mention World Day of Prayer right now. They're going to be sent out. You may sit down. They're going to be sent out to Silent Unity after the chaplains pray over the names. So we'll have lists for you soon. And since we're talking about Spirit working it out, I'm just going to mention the theme for World Day of Prayer this year, which is, I am peace in the midst of all matters. That's what we're working for here. And so we're focusing during the months of July and August on creation spirituality, reframing the experiences in my life as a part of the isness, or the whole of creation. This perspective includes via positiva, via negativa, and via creativa. So, the affirmation: I know who I am. I know where I came from. I know where I'm going. I call forth the light in all that I do. I am an original blessing. Say it with me. I know who I am. I know where I came from. I know where I'm going. I call forth the light in all that I do. I am an original blessing. Unity Minister Eric Butterworth wrote, All that we achieve comes from the creative flow of divine mind. With this thought, I open my mind to the creative flow of divine ideas and to my innate ability to create. The activity of the Christ works in and through me. Creativity involves more than the art of painting, music, or writing. The creative process shows itself in everything I think, feel, and express. The activity of my mind is innovative, bringing thoughts into reality by developing the first hint of an idea or dream and following it into completion. So I pause in this moment and contemplate when, where, and how I create or share my divinity in the world. Is it in a time of via positiva, when there is already light and I'm adding my light to make things brighter? Or is it in a time of via negativa, when the darkness is in need of the light? I remember in this moment that I am the expression of divine light and love. In order for light to shine brightly, the darkness must be present, or I would not recognize the fullness of my light. I know who I am. I know where I came from. I know where I am going. I call forth the light in all that I do. I am an original blessing.
And so I ask that you just get comfortable in your seats and begin by focusing on your breath. And begin by hearing these words in your mind, I know who I am. I know who I am. I know in this moment that I am an original blessing. And I know that because I know where I came from. I came from the light. I came from the love. I came from the source of all. And I also know where I'm going. I know when I leave this physical body that I'm in right now, I know that I will travel back to the light, back to the love, back to the source of all. And I also know a very important thing in this moment, that I have the ability to call for the light in my daily life. No matter what I'm experiencing in any moment. And so I just go inside and check and say, when do I call for the light? Is it when I want to add my light to light that is already there? More light, more light, more love, more love. Or maybe it's when I am experiencing something that appears to be darkness. Or a friend is experiencing something that seems to be darkness. And can I remember in that moment to call for the light? Let there be light. I know who I am. I am an expression of that light. Let there be light in the silence. In the silence. living, loving Spirit, I thank you this morning for the times that I remember who I am. And I also thank you for the times that I forget. Because it is in those times that the darkness reminds me it's time to shine. And so in those times, I surrender. I let go. And I surrender to the light and love that is all.
I surrender all to you. Take my heart and my soul too. I know you hear each time I call. I surrender. I surrender everything. All I am to you I bring. With gratitude on you I call. I surrender all. I surrender all. I surrender all to you. Take my heart and my soul too. I know you hear each time I call. I surrender all. I surrender everything. All I am to you I bring. With gratitude on you I call. I surrender all. I surrender all.
I was busy surrendering things. Good morning. I was busy surrendering stuff. I forgot I was supposed to sing. Apparently I got a lot to surrender this morning. It's perfect timing. So we need each other, right? We need each other bad. When everything seems like it's out of our control, and how do I make a difference? How does my little tiny world make a difference? And you do that by reaching out to each other and always being that place, that support, that foundation for the people you love. And then the hard part, the people you don't feel like you love. You got to be their foundation too, because we're all connected. We need each other to survive, right? Can I get a witness? Can I get an amen? I lied you. You need me. We're all a part God's body. It is His will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. You are important to me. I need you to survive. I want you to sing with me. Say, I need you. I need you. You need me. You need me. We're all a part of God's body. God's body. Stand with me. Agree with me. We're all a part of God's body. It is His will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. You are important to me. I need you to survive. Let's do that again, and I want you guys to sing loud with me. Look to your neighbor and say, I need you. I need you. You need me. You need me. We're all a part. We're all a part of God's body. Stand with me. Agree with me. Agree with me. We're all a part of God's body. It is His will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. You are important to me. I need you to survive. I pray for you. You pray for me. We're all a part of God's body. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you to survive. I pray for you. You pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you to survive. Everybody, I pray for you. You pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need. Let's take it up. Come on. I pray for you. You pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. Come on, can we take the roof off? Come on, quickly. I pray for you. Pray for you. Pray for me. And you pray for me. I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love
every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. Amen.
Yep. I don't know if I can. I had to jump up myself. Know that this has probably been one of the hardest weeks that Judy and I have had in a long, long time. And that song was planned months ago. And it was a God thing. And I know Deb's had a hard week too. And there may be many others of you that have had a hard week. I'm not going to speak for Judy because she's going to speak for herself in a few minutes. But I find it very interesting because we went through a Baptist funeral.
I'm still standing.
And we're still standing. And it was okay. It was a kind and gentle. Those of you, there were a few of you there at the service with us, and that was very touching for us also to have friends come in and hold the light for us. But it was an amazing time to go through the death of Judy's mother with people that don't necessarily have the same belief systems that we do, and try to have a conversation, and try to hold the light, and try to be there for them when they would say those things that made you want to have a tick. It's like, what? Yep. You know what I mean? Like, okay, reframe, 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 reframe. And it was interesting because one of the scriptures that they read was, I'll go and prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place, you know that scripture, I'll come again. I'll come again. And I sat there and thought, that's very interesting because that's my lesson on Sunday morning. Fancy that. Spirit just has a really funny sense of humor. Now, know in Unity and New Thought, the second coming is very different to us than it is to some of those people. And what I want to say to you as we go through this lesson today, the second coming of Christ is who you see when you look in the mirror. It is you. And the world's waiting. And right now, it is very important for you to allow the Christ to come right through. Because we have a world that is struggling on many levels with many things. And it could not be more important for us to be talking about this morning. So the people that we were with most of the week, they thought that the second coming was going to look something like that on the left. I don't know what they think they're going to see. You know, we even talked to somebody about, people are buried in the ground facing a certain way so that when Jesus comes back, they can sit up and see him. And I was like, wow, okay. I didn't know all of that. I've learned so much that I didn't get in my Church of Christ background about different belief systems. Unity believes the second coming looks like this. It looks like that your beingness is rooted here. And that you begin to feel your beingness so very strongly that your will and your love goes out to people around you. You know, the song Sherrie sang, it is his will that every need be supplied. When our will becomes one with that will, you are the second coming of Christ. Does that make sense? Because in some of my reading this week, I was like, how can we, as human beings, and I'm not going to go negative on us very long here, allow people to be hungry or to not have health care? Or to not have what they need. How can we do that? I don't know. And call ourselves Christians or New Thought people or Unitics or whatever you want to call yourself. How can we do that? And then if you want to work on the rest of your chakras, you're going to speak that. That's a little scary sometimes. I've been in groups of people, when I speak that, they think I have 4 heads and 3 tails. And I probably do to them. Have at least 4 heads and 3 tails. But it's a knowingness. It's a seeing it. I can see the world and how wonderful it will be when we get there. That's heaven, y'all. That's what heaven's all about. And we're supposed to create it right here. We're not supposed to die and suffer and then get there someday. That's an old thought. That's not new thought. So we are going through 4 pathways that are called creation spirituality, and I will give you a hint. I gave you a hint a few weeks ago. We may focus on this all next year. I will also say this, and hopefully it won't get back to the mothership, but I am more this than I am unity. I don't think the mothership will throw me out at this point in time. Because unity has not had a way to embrace the dark side. New Thought has not had a way to embrace the dark side, and what I want to tell you is the dark side is part of it all. It's part of what's here on the earth. We have to embrace all of it. But we talked 2 weeks ago about via positiva. I experienced the awe and wonder of all creation. That's the fun part that we all do. And like, yay, raw tootie, this is good. And this is beautiful. And this is wonderful. Until it's not. And when you have to go through something that feels like it's not, sometimes in unity we don't know what to do with it. So we make strange little statements like, it's for the best. You know, even those other people out there say those things in funeral homes, I promise you, that are not necessarily very loving. It's what I say to chaplains when we train them about how to go to a funeral home, and they say, what do you say? I said, nothing. Shut up. Just hug the person. They're like, do I need to say something? No. Please don't. Just be there with them. Because that's the most important thing that we can do as human beings, is be with people when they're in the dark places. Those of you that have been in dark places and have people that have come and just sat with you and been with you, you know that. And then you also know about those people that come in and tell you how you need to do it and what you need to do. And that's what you want to say to them. Please no. Those of us that are experiencing the darkness, when we can get there, can affirm that I am peace in the midst of all matters. That's not always easy. Depending on what the matter is in that moment, that's not always the easiest thing. Hence, why we're moving to the next path. The first 2 paths in creation spirituality are about being. being. The last two paths are about doing. How do I put myself out in the world and be this thing that I'm affirming that I am? What does that look like? And the first of those is via Creativa, which means that the expression of me that is the Christ is going to express divine light everywhere I go until it doesn't. Right? And I had some moments the last week when somebody would come in and want to tell her how to grieve for her mother. I had to hold myself in the chair. It's like, you are not going to go beat that person up. You don't even know who they are. Leave them alone. They mean well. Somewhere in all of that. And I kept going, okay, I can be peace, I can be peace, I can be peace. What does that look like? Hence our lesson today. In the beginning, God. Know that that whole statement we're going to flesh out a little bit more next week with multi-gen service, because there's part of the first snafu that we get. And so I ask you this morning to be thinking between now and next week, who or what is God to you? Because that's the foundation of everything else and all the decisions that you make about going forward. And when God is separate from you and a big man out there, or some of you have placed a big woman out there, great big woman out there, that's still a little separate from you. Does that make sense? And it's like, how do I create when I don't feel one with that all the time? So what is that? And so that's our work, our personal work inside ourselves. When we're in the midst of something that feels a little wonky, what is living, loving spirit to me? What is God to me? How do I call on that presence and that power? What does that look like? I doubt you can see some of that writing. But most of you have heard this scripture from the King James Version, so I'm going to read it to you. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form. I want you to hear that. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Some of you that have been in Unity for a long time have studied creation process. And Eric Butterworth, whom we're going to use his book on Wednesday night for the spirituality around economics, he also has a book around creation, where he takes the 7 days of creation and explains it metaphysically. Because what we know in Unity is that this whole story is about how we create our world. And so if that's true, at some point in time, I have to be in a place without form and void. Anybody else ever been in a place without form and void? Where it felt dark? Because that's where true creation comes. The other type of creation is just adding on to stuff that already is. I'm going to explain that a little bit further later. And there's nothing wrong with that type of creation, but it's just adding more to. But the people that really create from the darkness and the void, that's real creation. That's starting with nothing, from scratch, and going, what am I going to do next? That's what you're going to do next. You're going to ask that light come in. And what would that look like for you? I want to read that same scripture from the Message because it's going to sound very different. You know, the Message was translated mainly straight from the Hebrew and the Greek, so it hasn't gone through 400 different languages and 400 different people to come to what it is. First, this. God created the heavens and earth, all you see and all you don't see. Earth was a soup of nothingness, bottomless emptiness, and inky blackness. You ever thought about earth like that? God's Spirit brooded like a bird above the watery abyss. Did you feel that? That God's Spirit said, okay, here's this void, and it kind of makes me a little sad, and I don't know what to do with this next, but I want to do something. And then the next words are, God said, what? Have you ever thought about the presence and the power that made everything that we see brooded? And said, I need some light here. Because I want to create something here. Creation of all things has to come out of the darkness. And if we're afraid of the darkness, we won't ever create anything different. As I've said, we'll keep painting pink and purple on top of the pigs and putting something in their head and going, you're a horse, you're a horse, you're a horse. The first step in creating something new is allowing whose light to shine? Yours. So think about a time in your life when you have been going through something that might not have been a yay rah tootie moment. And how might that moment change if you stopped and said, let there be light? This is dark. This is dismal. I don't know what to do with any of this. Let there be light. The other thing I'm going to say is sometimes you're going to need to call a friend. You know that pyramid game where you have to call a friend? Sometimes you're going to go, I can't. Oh, I can't. But maybe Deb Neely can let some light come in here if I call her. Somebody, please remind me, let there be what? Yes. Because what I want you to hear from me as this New Thought Unity minister is darkness is real. It's there. We don't want to see it. And in New Thought, we rush to New Thought churches because we want to go, yay, this is good, this is good, this is wonderful, this is wonderful. And then we don't know how to be out in the world where we need to be being out in the world. Remember several months ago, I spent a week with Edwene Gaines, and before she let us go, she cried and said, you all have got to do, it was all Unity ministers, a better job of taking this message to the world, because the world needs this message now. But you've got to get up off your behinds. She didn't say behind, she said something uglier than that, if you know Edwene, and get out there in the darkness and be the light. But we're scared, aren't we? Yeah. We're scared. It's much easier to be the light in here. Woo! We can all shine together. Isn't that lovely? But when I have to walk across town, like I did yesterday, and spend all day long at TSU with very few faces that look like mine, and help families register their 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders for ACT tests. That's a whole different experience, a whole different energy. And I was there to be the light. And some of them were nice and some of them weren't. And I was still there to be the light. Does that make sense? We can't stay in our lofty towers and in our unity churches and just be the light here. This is easy. This is a piece of cake. We have to be willing to cross town and walk into those places that are not fun and be the light. And what would that look like? It would look like love. I love that picture. Because love and light just cut right through the darkness. Do you see that? Right through. And created something totally different in that moment. And that's what happens when we show up and we are the light. Is that we began to push our love out in the world. So again, when things are pretty, when you see that beautiful sunset, when you see something gorgeous and you decide, I'm going to write a song about that, that's wonderful. Or you see something beautiful and you say, I'm going to paint a picture of that. That's via positiva. That's easy. Because that's riding on the rainbow. I add light and love to the light and love that is there. I want you to say that with me. I add light and love to the light and love that is there. I don't want to take away from that because more light, more light. Say that.
More light, more light.
More love, more love.
More love, more love.
So that's a good thing. Okay? But here's the big deal. Here is the huge deal. Are you willing to walk into the middle of something that is dark and call for the light? I have seen no yeses yet. I've seen, please don't ask me to do that. So I want you to say with me, I call forth the light and love in the darkness, and then I want you to see what that feels like. I call forth the light and love in the darkness. What does that feel like for you? If you're going to call forth the light and love in the darkness, guess where you have to be? Really? You have to experience it before you can call forth the light. There's the thing that we don't necessarily want to do. Know that when we got home from going through a week that was excruciating for both of us, I said to Judy, I said, this is the perfect moment for you to share with the congregation your experience and how you did just that. And so she said she was willing. We need to hand her a microphone.
And first of all, let me say that I know that my mother is smiling this morning. I know that she is physically pain-free. I know that she is mentally removed from a disease that erased the brilliant mind that people knew her to be and to have. And I have to say also that even though I realized at a pretty early age that we probably needed to be involved in different spiritual communities, I am so grateful to her for teaching me from that high that church family is important. And thank you. You certainly have been there this week. I have felt the prayers of God's people, and I appreciate that. A light in the darkness. Yeah. Losing a parent, as many of you know, as I said to Denise one day, I said, I feel like somebody has just hit me in the gut and knocked the wind out of me. But the other thing that made the situation interesting was going into my hometown, where my thinking is so very, very different And I've done that many times before when friends and family have called on me to play for funeral services of their parents, grandparents, and learned a long time ago to gird myself, because as many of you have probably experienced, sometimes those ministers take it upon themselves to use that opportunity not to celebrate the life of whoever has passed on. But I have heard more than once, I know that brother so-and-so, or I know that sister so-and-so would want me to use this opportunity to get you to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and turn it into an altar call. And I, like I said, bitten my tongue many times, because to me that's not what it's about. So when we're talking rural and different kind of thinking, we're talking Southern Baptist, Bible-thumping, country church. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it took me a long time to say there's nothing wrong with that. Part of that is through my understanding that they need to believe what they need to believe, just like we need to believe what we need to believe. But in this darkness, and I love Denise's words in meditation, we need to shine. As soon as I got through the shock, because it was a shock, I was not expecting this at all. She had had a really great week. And I started thinking about the service. And my greatest desire was to create something that would, number one, I know she would like, that would honor her. And when I say honor her, I knew I needed a blend of what she believed, and also some other things that made it a joy-filled experience for people. So I used some music that she would have liked, sung by people that she loved dearly. The minister that held the funeral was my cousin on the Blackwelder side that I grew up with. And he had been in our home many times. So it was all a really personalized thing, which I appreciated. And he did not go down those paths of what do I want to call it? He didn't try to have a revival in the middle of my mother's funeral, which I so appreciated. So it was a beautiful service. Had someone from the company that she and my dad founded speak about her, and that was lovely. But I've had several people say to me after that, this was really different. And let me back up and say that even in that situation, it was unheard of for me, the daughter, to participate in the service. Because you got to get a bunch of holy people, right? You got to get a bunch of holy people to do that. So, and right off the bat, I insulted the funeral home because I having played there for many services, and some of you have heard me say this, they have this little bitty keyboard that was. And I'm going to back up and say this, because some of you will get it. The people who own this wonderfully beautiful funeral home, and they do own several others in West Tennessee, Shackelford's, and they do a wonderful job. Their belief system is Church Christ. So you don't have a piano playing while people are singing hymns. So I saw that carried out in the keyboard they had purchased. So, probably the thing about me that my mother loved the most was she loved me playing the piano and encouraged me and started me at a very young age doing that. So, we took my keyboard and I told them up front, I'm not playing that keyboard and we're going to bring this one in. No argument. So, because I really do think some of the people understand that. But I wanted to create a light, bright, heart-filled experience in the darkness. I wanted to shine for her. I wanted to keep in mind and have some compassion for the other people who were in attendance, because they needed something too. And I believe we were able to do that. And I've been analyzing all of that, and I'm thinking, okay, so how do we shine when we're standing in the darkness? I think, if I had to encapsulate that, is we have to consider other people and how we are showing up for them. Because if we know to do, we've got to do. And we've got to be compassionate around those other belief systems. And in the darkness, I believe I was able to shine, and with the help of some people and friends and family, create a very special service. And when we left there, Denise said, "Are you complete?" And I said, I'm very complete, and I know that everything with her is at absolute perfection. Thank you all.
Marianne Williamson says that any thought of love uplifts the vibration of the universe. And so I think you could hear from her, being in a dark place, losing her mother. She was thinking more about her cousins and all the other people that were there and the people from her mother's church, more than she was thinking about herself. Because she wanted to create an experience for everybody that would be healing for everybody. But what I want you to know is the reason I asked her if she was complete, because she was healed in that moment, creating something that was healing for everyone else. Can you hear that? That when we're in the darkness, we cannot be focused on ourselves. And, oh, dear God, I'm in the darkness, I'm in the darkness. We have to be focused on out there. That's the doing part. How do I create love and light for everyone else that's coming, knowing that when it's finished, I will be healed too? Say that with me. I know who I am. I know where I came from. I know where I'm going. I call forth the light in all that I do. I am an original blessing. Namaste.
Oh, Judy, thank you so much for sharing. God, thank you. Yeah, it's nice to hear you talk. I always get to hear you play. Denise said, she kind of told me what the service was about today a while ago. And then how to be a force for good. And comes back to that, again, like I said earlier, we're each other, right? We have to be each other's strength and shelter and support. You know, that the God out there is an idea. The love in here is an action. It makes a difference. So we can talk all we want, but you will always be healed by being shelter for somebody else when you feel like you're in the storm. Amen. You can stand up if you want. It won't hurt my feelings. When the clouds hanging in the sky and they're
just not letting any light in, and you feel like you're gonna give in. Don't you give up too soon. When your neighbors and friends to count on what you got, baby, you got someone who'll be there when the rain is falling and won't let it fall on you. I'll be the one to get you through when it feels like there's just not enough. I will be there. Oh, baby, I'll be your shelter. I'll be the one to get you through the night. Honey, I'll be your shelter. I'll make everything alright. Make everything alright. Na 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 na. I got arms strong enough to hold you, get you through anything you go through, anything you need. It's only a touch away. When your heart needs a heart beside, should be mine that you're beating to. I got so much love inside, what's for you every day. I'll be the one to give you love when you feel like there's just not enough. I'll be there. Oh, baby, I'll be your shelter. I'm walking through you through the night. Baby, I'll be your shelter. I'll make everything alright. Make everything alright. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. I'll be your shelter, baby. I'll be the one to cover you when it feels like there's just not enough. I'll be there, and I will be your shelter. I'll help you make it through the night. Honey, I'll be your shelter. I'll make everything alright. Make everything alright, and I'll be your shelter. I'll help you make it through the night. Honey, I'll be your shelter. We'll make everything alright. Make everything alright. Na 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 na. I'll be your shelter. I'll be your shelter, baby. I'll be your shelter. I'll be your shelter.
I tell you what, when you're getting ready at the end of the service to go out there and wrap your arms around Sherrie Phillips and give her a good old hug, do not miss those boots. Do not miss those boots. Take a good gander at those boots is what I'm going to say. It's time for us to take our tithes and offering to do our sacred walk of abundance. And so if you will settle yourselves down for just a moment. And if we'll have this one more sacred moment in our service, it is such an honor and a blessing for us to be able to give back to our spiritual community If you'll take your tithes and offerings and gifts in your hand and say the offering affirmation with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give and all that I am open to receive.
we open our hearts and we open our minds, knowing that living, loving Spirit can touch us at any moment and help us become a force for good. Help us be the ones who can stand in the darkness and call forth the light. Let there be light. Because we know when we shine the light and our love on any situation, we are healed. Because whatever we put out there comes back, heaped up, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, for that's the law. And so it is. Amen.
I'll tell you what, those of you who are here with us every Sunday know that after we sing the service closed, Miss Pat Upchurch sings Oh Happy Day. And I know how much Judy's mom liked to hear her play, and my stepfather passed away the day before Judy's mom did, and his favorite thing on the planet was a church choir. And what I want to think about as we sing that is, oh happy day, when Jesus took my pain away, when Jesus took the fog away, when the divine Spirit of Christ took away everything that exemplifies limitation and pain on this planet. So you might want to think about some folks that you hold in your heart as well. Let's sing together.
Take that.